Hey folks, it's Greg. You're watching Greg's Country Cabin Outdoors. Hope you're having a great day. I thought I'd try something a little different today. I'm going to try to make a wood gasifier or outdoor fire pit, smokeless. And I've got these two cylinders. This one is Freon, this one is helium. As you can see, the helium one is slightly bigger than the Freon cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the handles off right here across the sides to make a base, and I'm going to turn this cylinder upside down, cut the bottom out of it. I'll cut the top out of this one and insert this cylinder inside of this one. Okay, yes, I'll have to drill holes in the bottom to allow airflow. That's what gasifiers do. But anyway, it's been a different kind of weekend, so I'm going to make the best of it. Stay tuned. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the green line there is where I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to cut both handles off. And then when I get done, I'm going to come over here and cut the bottom out of it. Okay, this is what it looks like. And I went ahead and cut the valve off too. I'll end up grinding that out and drilling the hole out, because we're going to have holes in the bottom of this thing for ventilation to feed the fire. So in order to cut this bottom, I'm going to have to drill a pilot hole right next to the line, start my jigsaw, and then I can cut it with a jigsaw. So to get started, I drilled a 1/4 inch pilot hole and then wallered it forward and backward enough to be able to get my saw blade in. So I'll show you that. The saw blade fits perfectly inside that hole. So now I can go ahead and start cutting. Okay, the next step is to cut out the top of the helium cylinder, and I've got the Freon cylinder sitting on top of it, and I'm going to scribe all the way around, drill a pilot hole, and take my jigsaw to it. Well, the helium tank's cut out. The Freon tank fits perfectly inside the cutout, except for this weld right here that joins the two sections of the tank. See right there where that's laid in. So what I think I'm going to do, since this tank is so much shorter than this tank, and I want to give it a little bit of stability, I'm going to go ahead and cut the bottom off of this. And that will allow me to slide this inner tank up from the bottom. Okay, here the two are fitted together. They fit together nicely. I cut out the bottom of this one, and that little stand is to keep that up off the ground, and it's going to work perfectly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace a line around here, because I'm going to drill holes in this upper ring to allow the heat to escape. I don't need to. If I put a grill on top of it, I can use it to cook with or whatever. But I also want the row of holes that feed the fire from inside below that line. So that'll give me a reference point. Okay, I want to drill or poke holes in this thing equal distance all the way around. But I took a tape measure and went all the way around, and it doesn't come out the same. I ended up with about 1.25 inch gap here, and everything else is an inch. So what I'm going to do now is what I normally do. I took a piece of paper, cut it into strips, wrapped it around the tank, and taped it together. And I will use this as my template. What I'll do is I'll fold it and then pull it out straight, make another fold, mark both folds, straighten it out, match those folds up, and make 2 more folds opposite those, and continue around until I've got all the holes that I need. So let's get started. Okay, I've matched up my 2 original marks. Okay, straightened it out and made a fold on each end, and I'll do that again. I'll mark that again, and then I'll fold it and match up my marks again, and I'll keep going until I've got 32 marks on this thing. Okay, each one of these folds represents a mark, and I've got 16 on there so far, so I'm going to have to put one in between each one of these the same way. Okay, I got all my marks on the paper. I've also got all these marks on the canister. So what I will do, if you look, they don't line up. See how far off they are right there? But as you get around the tank, you will see that there are some that actually do line up. So instead of going around this thing 1,000 times trying to figure out the exact measurement, I fold this paper and make marks on the paper, and then what I'll do is I'll slide that down to the line or just below the line and make marks at each one of these marks so that I know where to punch my holes. And I'm going to use a hole punch on this. A friend of mine passed away recently, owned a hole punch, and when we purchased his house he left it behind. It's a 3/16 hole punch, and it works really well on this metal. So I'm going to go ahead and get that marked, get my holes punched, and show you what's going on. Okay, so if you were wondering how I was going to tell the difference between the old marks and the new marks, I made the new marks a lot longer. So there's no question in my mind as to which one I'm supposed to be using. Okay, let's get some holes punched. Okay, so I've got 32 holes punched, evenly spaced. I've got 8 holes drilled in the bottom for air to feed in. And I'm going to try this. I might end up making these holes a little bit bigger. They're 3/16, but I got to try it first and see what happens. So now I'm going to get the larger canister and punch holes in the bottom of it as pilot holes, and then I'll use my step drill to drill those out to a much larger size, because I need a lot more air feeding into that from the bottom. Okay, I got this one wrapped. I'm going to make my marks, and I'm only going to put 16 holes in this, but like I said, I'm going to drill it out with my step drill, so it'll be a 3/4 inch diameter hole in each one, at each one of these marks. That'll give it plenty of ventilation to feed my fire. Okay, my 16 holes are punched. Now I'm going to use my step drill and drill them out. Okay, so here it is. Got the little ring on top, and I can set a grill on top of that if I want to. I put another row of holes, 3/16 holes around the top of the inner liner, and this fits really well. I showed it to you before how it wouldn't fit through from the top, so I went ahead and cut the bottom out, and I'm glad I did, because that raised that up a little bit and gave me a place to put a grill on top of that if I want to. But cutting the bottom out of this, I could have cut the tank off and made it shorter, but I wanted something that was going to be stable, and this helps to stabilize it. by just cutting the bottom out and leaving this sitting flat on the ground. So I put 16 3/4-inch holes all the way around at the base of this outer liner, and there's 8 3/4-inch holes at the very bottom of this. That should get my fire started. I've got to try it and see what happens. It may not work the way I want it to, but hey, there it is, my own creation, a smokeless fire pit.